Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's I, the Reluctant Gringo, back again with another video, and today we're going to talk about the box office. That's right. Now, we only have Wednesday's numbers out yet. Thursday's Thanksgiving numbers aren't out for movies for the box office, but wow, what a disappointment. If you're Disney, you've got to be going bananas right now. You've got to be in full panic mode going, oh my God, this animated film that we spent $200 million on premiered with only $8 million. $8 million. Think about that. Disney used to own Thanksgiving. Own it. You'd have Pixar coming out. You'd have all sorts of stuff coming out for Disney over the last few years. They used to own it. And now they can't get $10 million in one day on their biggest animated release there to celebrate 100 years of Disney. Let me tell you something. People are walking away from Disney, and for good reason. And Disney gave them those reasons. They don't want to be preached to. They don't want to be told messages about being homosexual or being transgender. They don't want that. If they want that, they'll go watch the news. If they want that, they'll go seek out that information themselves. They want to bring their kids to a movie and not have to worry about having a conversation afterwards about what everything meant. They don't want to be forced into that situation. Believe me, as a parent, I'll tell you, I knew when it was appropriate to have the conversations with my kids about the things I needed to have conversations about. I don't need Disney and Bob Iger or Kathleen Kennedy or Kevin Feige or whoever the hell's in charge of Pixar now or whoever the hell's in charge of the animated section right now telling me when to be a parent. And that's why in this household, we don't watch Disney anymore. We don't. We got rid of Disney Plus a while ago. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I'm a huge Star Wars nerd. I don't watch Star Wars stuff anymore. I don't consume any of it. I didn't go see Indiana Jones. Why? Because I knew it was coming. So in this household, we've walked away. Just like many of you have walked away from Disney. You said, no, thank you. Do not tell me how to be a parent. Do not dictate my values, my rules, my family structure on your big screen. If I go to pay money to see one of your movies, I want to be entertained. I don't want to be lectured to. That's just the way we feel. So now Wish, their movie Wish, only $8 million. Think about it. If they averages $8 million for the next 5 days, it's only going to make around $40 million. This $200 million movie's got to make at least $400, $500, maybe even $600 million when you think about the movie that has to give the movie theater their cut, the advertising budget, all that. It's not going to do it. It's going to be another big flop. And it's on the heels of the biggest flop that Marvel's ever had. And if we look at the Marvels, holy crap. I mean, I thought it was bad. And I predicted it was going to be bad. And I was right. But I didn't think it was going to be this bad. It's not going to make $200 million. This movie's going to get pulled. They're going to pull this movie in a week, week and a half and go, look, no one's seeing this movie. It's taking up theater space. We're pulling it. We're not showing it anymore. This thing is not going to make $200 million worldwide. It's not going to make $100 million in the United States. It's barely at like $70 million for the United States. It's not going to get there. It's not just the biggest flop for MCU. This is one of the most historic movie flops in history. I mean, history, the history of cinema, not just Disney, not just Marvel, but cinema. And that should be the biggest wake-up call. Now with Wish on top of that flopping, the biggest wake-up call. But what is Disney going to do? Well, I think you're starting to see some of the panic mode, but they're trying to balance the two acts, right? The Rey movie's still coming out with Star Wars, right? They're still going forward with the Acolyte. Filoni's been promoted, and we really know that that's just Kathleen Kennedy in sheep's clothing. They're trying to do all this stuff to keep their activist audience, their activist investors happy. But on the other side, they're saying, we got to make money. Okay, Frozen 3 is coming out. What's already a green light, Frozen 4. Tim Allen comes out on a talk show the other night and says Disney's been in touch with him and Tom Hanks to come back as Woody and Buzz for Toy Story 5. They're looking and going, how can we make tons of money and keep the message? Guess what? It's not going to work. As long as they keep that message rolling, that crap and that propaganda coming out that people just don't want and people have rejected, they're not going to go see Toy Story 5 because they're going to be afraid of what's going to be in it. They're not going to go see Frozen 4. They're going to be afraid of what's going to be in it. They're trying to do a balancing act. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. Other box office news, Napoleon, $8 million or so about that on its opening day on November 22nd. It dominated the box offices in Europe. We haven't gotten those numbers in yet, but we have anecdotal evidence that it has dominated those box office numbers. So good for that movie. Good for Ridley Scott. Good for Joaquin Phoenix. Historical movies like this, sometimes they do not so well because the length and the subject matter, but I think this is going to be a movie that people really enjoy, will go back and rent or see on streaming. And that's really the key. You think about the Killers of the Flower Moon, you think of Napoleon, these are Apple Studio releases. Apple could care less if it makes money at the box office. That's not why Apple makes movies. Trust me, I used to work for Apple. So this is not why Apple makes movies. They make movies for Apple TV Plus, for their streaming service later. This is to them just an investment. Like I said before, it's a $3 trillion company. $200 million don't mean nothing to this company. They make $200 million in a week. It don't mean nothing to them. That's how they look at it. So when you think of Apple Studios, you can't really judge them on the same basis that you would judge a Disney or you would judge a Warner Brothers. Yeah, they have streaming services as well, but those streaming services, it's different in how it's calculated. And of course, Apple's revenue stream is the technology, the hardware, the software, the App Store, all that stuff. Apple TV Plus is the destination for these movies and to get people to sign up for Apple TV Plus. Now, The Hunger Games, it just made over $100 million worldwide. That's the other big release that we kind of have to talk about. Now, it had a $100 million budget. It's going to make around $300 million to break even, and I don't think it's going to get there. It's going to get close. It's just not going to get there. Another flop for Rachel Zegler. I mean, we all could have seen that coming. Everybody saw that coming. Everybody. It's another flop for her. I don't know if we're going to see her cast in anything else anytime soon. I think she's become box office poison. I think she has to go out and rehab her whole image. She's going to have to do some stuff, do some interviews, do the apology tour if she wants to stay someone who is financially reliable within Hollywood, because sooner or later, Hollywood execs are going to look at you and go, yep, you're a young girl, you're talented, but guess what? There's 1,000 others on the bus getting dropped off right now that are young, good looking, and talented, and they're not box office poison. They're not going to keep you in that role if you're not making the money. After a while, they're going to be like, hey, you're replaceable. So you're going to see her on the giant Rachel Zegler apology tour, I think, after the holidays, rehabbing her image to give her the ability to continue working. Otherwise, no one's going to touch her. At least no one who's doing anything significant. And her career is going to be over. That's the box office report here for this Black Friday. I know everybody's probably out shopping, enjoying their time. So go ahead and have fun. Enjoy your time. I hope your Thanksgiving was great. I had a great Thanksgiving. It was really enjoyable. Really thankful for all of you. Really thankful to be back on the mic, back on the camera, bringing you my opinion, bringing you some news. As always, from south of the border, I am still your reluctant gringo. Salute and a huevo.